Singers, if you have ever been told to think sharp, then today's video is most definitely for you. Today is the last video in our tuning series, and we are talking about do this, don't do that. I want to dig into number one, a really fundamental issue of trust around tuning, and then also a couple of little hacks, things that you can really easily use, especially as alternatives to things you might be currently using, to just improve your pitch in the moment, but also in ways that will sort of bear fruit over time. So first, I want to address this piece of advice, think sharp. Of all the bad advice in the singing world, this is one that I really, truly hate. And it is because, number one, it does not fix the problem. As I said, I did a whole video about the physical reasons that your tuning may be off. And I think so often with singing, we just have this idea that if we were thinking the correct pitch would be coming out of our mouths. But that's really not logically true. And I brought along a recorder just to show you an example of this. So logically, it makes perfect sense that if I have my fingers on the holes to make a certain pitch, if I do different things with the airstream, like under support it or over support it, I will not get that accurate pitch, even though my fingers are on the correct holes. So correct pitch, under supported, overblown. It makes perfect sense when you see it with a recorder that varying the airstream would create those different pitches, but we don't tend to look for the same physical or technical fixes with our singing. We tend to believe that if we're singing out of tune, we're just not hearing it right. And this is the problem. When conductors tell us to think sharp, they are not asking us or helping us to fix our technique or the physical problem that is foundational to that tuning problem. Number two, they are wearing down the trust that singers have in their own hearing. It makes singers start to think, oh, I must just not be hearing pitch correctly. I must need to always think slightly above the true pitch that I currently hear. And what this does is it breaks down singers' trust in themselves, and it also makes us constantly transpose pitch to a slightly actually out of tune sound so that we can bring our problematically created, our physically problematic sound closer to the true pitch. So it's this weird math that you have a sound in your head that is correct. You sing it with a technical problem and it comes out flat. You think, oh, I must need to think sharp. You then bring the mental pitch higher up. The problematic sound is now higher and closer to the true pitch, but it will never be fully in tune. It will never resonate truly in tune unless you address the technical problem, and now you're screwing with your own mind. So don't think sharp. Instead, if there's a technical problem, address it by thinking, on that part where it's out of tune, am I under supporting? Do I feel physically tense? So really look for that physical cause of the tuning issue. Do not just think sharp and make yourself crazy. That is unfair to yourself, and it is not going to solve the problem. There are two other common pieces of vocal advice that I've already addressed in other videos. Those are the idea of listen harder. I addressed that in the second video on audiation, and also big steps on the way up and small steps on the way down. Again, unhelpful because it's so arbitrary. So if you are interested in that, or if you've been told that piece of advice, be sure to check out the third video on singing within the context of a scale. But for now, I actually want to show you a couple of things that you can do at home or in your practice, things that you can incorporate that will be a better alternative to what you might currently be using to try to fix or help your tuning. And the ideas here are really based on not just putting a Band-Aid on one moment, but actually building your skill to sing in tune so that you can do it when you are away from that device or piano or practice session. So that all sounds very confusing. Let's get into it and you'll see what I mean. The first one is singing into a tuner. I have had singers who are really stressed out about their tuning reveal to me that they have a tuning app on their phone and they're singing into it. These are like the kinds of apps that you would use when you're tuning a ukulele or tuning a guitar, and it'll show you you're sharp, you're flat, you're sharp, you're flat. Okay, here is the problem with doing that for your singing. You're singing a note, let's say, and you're singing it into your app and you see, okay, it's a few cents flat. So then you kind of try to change the pitch and you're just watching that needle on the tuner to try and push it up until it's in that kind of green zone. You are not in that moment doing the problem-solving work of technical practice that's going to resolve the tuning issue. So all you're doing is kind of giving yourself a momentary dopamine hit of, look, I got a green A natural, but that does not give you any skill to be able to sing an A natural later. All you're learning is that if you sing out of tune, you are able to kind of in the moment adjust the pitch if you have a digital device that shows you when to keep going and when to stop. That's not going to build your ear. It's not going to improve your technique. So do not use a tuner. However, if you have very weak audiation, if you have a very weak sense of like hearing pitches in your head, it can be hard to get started with building that skill. And so although I showed you a step-by-step process that you can use in your practice, another helpful tool that you can use is rather than singing into a tuner, you can use a drone app. So, and it doesn't even have to be an app. There are drones on every pitch available on YouTube. Just, you can put into YouTube like B flat drone and you will get a drone sound that will just drone on. And what you can do with that is, let's say you have a piece that is in the key of B flat. You can get this B flat. Whoa! My piano's so out of tune. All right, let's see if we can pick some ones that are, okay, that's not great, but we'll just go with it for now. You'll have some kind of drone that will continue under you as a steady pitch to act as sort of an anchor so that as you sing, there's your B flat. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? As you go through the melody, it won't be playing every individual pitch with you, but it will keep you anchored in that key. This is going to both help you to start hearing in context, as you were advised to do by me in video number 3 of this series, but it will also help you start to actually hear sounds in your head as they relate to the tonic of the key. So use a drone, don't use a tuner. The last little hack I want to show you is something that I've been wanting to share with you for years, but it's so tiny that it's not really worth a video of its own, but it is powerful. And this idea comes to me from Margot Garrett, the amazing vocal coach. I saw her use this trick with somebody decades ago, and it has stuck with me. So the idea is, when you are singing a line and trying to see if you can sing it in tune, this is something that singers very frequently do, you'll give yourself the first note, maybe on the piano or on your kind of piano app. And then when you get to the end, then you'll give yourself that note and check to see if you were sharp or flat. Well, instead of, oh, you'll take the high road and I'll take the low road. Instead, play yourself simultaneously an octave above and an octave below, not the actual pitch that you are trying to sing. So instead of giving myself, I'm going to give myself. This gives your brain the opportunity to actually find that pitch between those. And of course, it's very easy because it's an octave between. It's kind of, you're fully encircled. It's not a hard thing to find, but it does just gradually keep you checking in with that audiation. And this is a wonderful thing for starting to repair that relationship with your hearing. If you've been told for years and years and years, think sharp, because this is a wonderful way to start hearing pitches accurately in your head and then singing them. So I'm going to give myself the first pitch, and then especially at the end when I'm checking, I'm going to play the sounds above and below. There are two reasons why this is so helpful at the end. Number one, it does force you to actually listen and say, was I in tune? Am I sharp? Am I flat? Rather than just listening for the vague sensation of dissonance. Also, it is very hard to hear the same pitch that you are singing from the piano, whereas it's much easier to hear sounds that are higher and lower because you're not trying to discern which thing you're hearing. So here's again how this would work in real life. You would just play yourself the octaves above and below for your cue pitch. Oh, you'll take the high road and I'll take the low road. And then I'm going to listen to those sounds, the sound that I am hearing in my head, and discern, am I evenly spaced between those two? It's a really great way to gradually accumulate that audiation skill, and it's going to go a long way toward kind of building your sense of agency around tuning, because really that's what it all comes down to. This whole channel was founded on the belief that you can improve your singing skills so that you feel more confident in your singing and enjoy it more. So I hope that there was something in today's video that will help you to feel better and sing better in tune. If you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Be sure to click the subscribe button so I can see you next Thursday for more videos. We'll be on to something fresh and new after the tuning series is over. If you would like to hear from me in your email inbox, be sure to check out the link for the newsletter. It's totally free and comes out every Friday. And in the meanwhile, thank you for practicing.